So, have you ever looked at the geography of the world at some other point that the world consists of 7 continents and that's it? You probably have heard a lot about these standard facts about how big Russia actually is comparing it to other countries. But have you ever been digging deeper into the geography of our planet and have you actually seen how weird the geography can be? Let me show you some geography of this world that will change your point of view about the planet forever. So did you know that the Pacific Ocean is actually so large that it contains its own antipode? Before explaining it, let me explain what an antipode is. If figuratively speaking, an antipode is the opposite, or someone with an opposite character or opinion, an opposite. However, the concept originally comes from geography. In geography, it means a place that diametrically opposite another place. So to make it simple, if you drill a tunnel straight through the earth, you would meet your antipode. A pair of antipodal points are placed so that a straight line connecting them passes through the center of the earth. These places are as far apart as feasible, a great circle radius of 10,800 nautical miles, 20,000 kilometers. The easiest example is the North Pole, laying exactly on the opposite side of the South Pole. If we relate this to the Pacific Ocean discussed in this case, this means that the Pacific Ocean looks at itself, as it were, and is right in front of itself. Well, I admit this is still pretty vague, so let's take a look at the map. As you can see, the Pacific Ocean stretches so far that it is exactly at the opposite of its own ocean, meaning it covers half the circumference of the Earth in one place. It shows how big the Pacific Ocean actually is. Just like Brazil, which is so big that it borders every country in South America except for Ecuador and Chile, its northernmost point is closer to every other continent in South America than it is to its own southern point, which again shows how big the country is. Other examples of this are Chile and Norway, but although it's interesting, it's also kind of logical since these three countries are among the longest countries in the world. Brazil is 4,350 kilometers long, Chile is 4,300 kilometers long, and Norway is 1,770 kilometers long. Okay, so Brazil is the longest country with Chile on the second place. But did you know that the narrowest country is also Chile? No, it's not. Just make things clear, Panama's narrowest point is about 45 kilometers. In the Panama Canal Zone, countries with most antipodes are New Zealand and France, both at the first place with 12 antipodes, Brazil with 9, Indonesia with 8, Peru, the United States and the United Kingdom with 7, and China with 6 antipodes. Leave down below in the comments if you think we should count overseas territories. Another example of the incredibility of geography has everything to do with France. As we all know by now, France has lots of overseas territories in almost every continent except for Asia. Examples are French Guiana in South America, Guadeloupe in the Caribbean, and Saint-Pierre-Miquelon in North America. And the last one is interesting because of those who didn't know Saint-Pierre-Miquelon is situated just off the coast of Canada. So it shares a border with Canada? Well, no, but you are technically able to drive from Canada to France, which is kind of sick. Talking about overseas territories, don't forget about the ones of the United Kingdom. Now in a video coming soon on the channel, I mentioned the borders of United Kingdom, or actually the only border, which is Ireland. But they actually do have more land borders, including Gibraltar with Spain, and Akrotiri and Dhekelia with Cyprus. It got separated after the independence of Cyprus in 1960, which left them being neighbours. As for the Gibraltar-Spain border, on 31st of December 2020, the United Kingdom and Spain agreed on remaining Gibraltar as an overseas territory of the British. But let's go back a bit to that story about antipodes. Some people say a coincidence doesn't exist, but listen, this story, think about it again. Taiwan's Taipei and Paraguay's Asunción are antipodes. The strangest thing is that the main island of Taiwan, where Taipei is situated, was originally known as Formosa, and Argentina has a province called Formosa, just next to Asunción. As a result, there is a Formosa and a Formosa that are exactly halfway around the world from each other. The naming appears to be a coincidence, with the one in Taiwan being called by Portuguese explorers and the one in the Argentina being named by the Spanish explorers. So, do you think it's a coincidence, or is it all a lie? Back again to France, where this country continues to amaze. They own a territory in the Pacific called Wallis and Futuna, where they share power with 3 local kings, and they have a border with the Netherlands on the island of Saint Martin in the Caribbean. Now the next one is about the continents of our planet and the fact that they are moving towards each other, which on the short term is kind of not interesting. But when you're looking at it in the long term, where we fast forward millions of years in the future, it's incredible to see what would probably happen. The continents are still moving as a result of tectonic plate movement. Scientists estimate that the continents will continue to drift and crash during the next few 100 million years. All of the continents are currently moving towards the Eurasian plate, thus Africa, Australia, and the Americas will eventually join again, establishing a new supercontinent north of the equator. Let me know in the comments what the name of the supercontinent should be. It definitely should start and end with the letter A, since almost every continent right now does so. Now, we all know these standard facts about the longest straight land border of France being with Brazil. Not quite interesting anymore, but did you know France and Brazil are the only countries to share a border, but to also share an antipode, or as discussed meaning, they are at the exact opposite of each other. Unfortunately, no map is showing this, but France used its complex and large network of territories to do the trick. Here's a bonus fact for the people who made it until the end. The world population is often seen in statistics, but did you ever look at how populations are situated inside a country? Many countries are often oddly divided. In Australia, for example, only 2% live in the centre, 50% lives in the biggest 6 cities, and more than 85% of the population lives within 50 miles of the coast. In Canada, 90% lives within 100 miles of the United States, which leaves most of the country empty, while they are the second largest country in the world. The planet is incredible, and the interesting geography people find on Earth are unending. Unfortunately, this video isn't. Let me know in the comments if this video changed your point of view about the planet and its incredible geography. Subscribe to be a part of the first 2000, like the video, and as always, see you in the next.